For years, I worked in the hospitals, and oftentimes therapy would come to an end, not because I felt like the client was ready to be discharged or that the recovery was over, but because the insurance was done paying.
When I became a speech therapist, I was working with a young stroke survivor who was an engineer, and that was my profession before as well. And we had to discharge him because he only had so many visits for insurance, and when it was time to discharge him, he truly was not ready to get back into being an engineer again, getting back to the community. We looked around and there was nothing available, and me having English as my second language really thought about saying, it needs more intensive therapy because he needed to regain English language. And that's what kind of inspired us, and the philosophy behind Austin Speech Labs is that intensive, repetitive drill and practice.
There's really 4 ways that we're uniquely different. The first is cost. It's $10 an hour. That was really important to us when we started, is to keep that cost at that rate, and so we're really proud of ourselves for being able to do that. Secondly is research. That's been a huge part of this organization from the get-go. We really wanted to prove to people that recovery happens after that first year, and we also wanted to prove that intense speech therapy makes a difference. And now that we've gotten that under our belts, we're really going to start focusing on how to make our clients get better faster. The third thing is intensity. Unfortunately, with the way insurance is set up, clients just can't get the intensity that they need. So because we don't bill insurance, we're able to provide up to 6 hours of therapy a day. And then lastly is time. We don't have any limits. And just recently I evaluated a client, and after the evaluation, the dad was saying to me, so how much time do we have? And I just said, there's no time. And he said, so we can be here until he gets better? And I was like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're here to help him get his full recovery in.
It was on Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving Day.
Thanksgiving Day, we were getting ready to eat dinner, and he and our daughters came in from Dallas, and he just seemed to be kind of tired all day long. I said, are you okay? And he shook his head, yes. And he looked at me with this gaze look, and then his mouth twisted. And I said, what's the matter? I said, baby, your mouth is twisted. And I said, well, come on so you can go and lay down. I didn't know. So when he stood up, he collapsed, and that's when we called 911.
It was tough. And I had a full-time job, but I had to stop working to take care of him.
For something like this to happen, it's like you're living in a dream. Our whole world has been upside down because it's like, well, why him? And no symptoms, nothing's wrong. Why? And it's like now he's starting all over, and he has his whole life ahead of him, and this has impacted his life. And now, and not saying that he won't get to whatever he was trying to get, it's just gonna take him longer.
Yeah. I sleep in
the bed.
Yeah, good. Okay, which one do we read?
A book.
Yeah, so can you give me a sentence with the word book?
I read for the book.
Yeah, or I read a book.
I read a book.
Yeah.
But now, he's talking, he's laughing more, he's always bubbly, but it's more, he's almost, I see him, he gets to himself to where I forget, oh, maybe I'm going too fast. It's just like, that's him.
What's your favorite hobby?
Basketball.
And are you still playing basketball?
Yep. Yeah.
And are you really good?
I guess. I start to feel like every day.
My father had the stroke on January 2nd. We were home by January 11th. My mom passed away 2 years ago, so his 4 daughters, who are all very young, me being one of them, we have to take care of him. He has a 15-year-old daughter at home who lives with him, and she was and is our biggest concern in all of this. We had to make a decision to come to a place where he could get not only the most therapy, but the best therapy and the quickest and the cheapest. I mean, living out in that rural area, it's like The providers were outrageous. I mean, the therapy that we got 1 hour a week for 2 weeks was the same price as coming here for 6 weeks. And when we talked to Shelly on the phone, she's so great, and was able to accept him right away into the program. And the first day he started therapy, we had a zeroed out invoice. I mean, it was huge. We're so grateful.
I'm just working on speech, and I want to see it get better and better every day.
After the evaluation at Austin Speech Labs, he was able to do 6 hours of therapy per day, 5 days a week, which was awesome for him. It was a lot of hours that he could get, but it was also great for us because we could kind of leave him for the day and know that he was taken care of and know that he was working toward his goal. And when we started, he had just a few phrases. It was just kind of him on repeat. It was like a record, a recording. It was really hard to hear him like that. It was stressful. After he did 6 weeks of therapy, he left and it was pretty good. Once he returned home to my little sister and my older sister in Colorado, they were really impressed. I mean, it wasn't a huge leap, but it was enough to where he can function. Like he can, he's back at work now. He's back at home, so that's kind of what we were hoping.
I've noticed my tip-off is better, and I zone together on the telephone where they can't really hear me. They can hear me now, and that's welcome. That's welcome, and I am going to make it back. I am going to make it back.
Our goal for research is to come up with innovative methods so that the language recovery can happen faster. For that purposes, we are actually collaborating with Burke Research Institute in New York with Dr. Dylan Edwards, who is the co-director of brain stimulation at Harvard Medical School, and trying to see if a unique, innovative brain stimulation supplemented with Austin Speech Labs intensive speech therapy can really reduce the number of years it takes for language recovery in a stroke survivor.
My name is Christina Fleurier, and I had a stroke on September 29, 2013. It was my last year in my doctoral program, so my goal was finishing my PhD. But that day and forward, I knew my life was changing. In the time between the stroke to coming here to Austin Speech Labs, I was severely depressed. And one thing with this program, I had a reason to get out of bed. You know, first thing is coming here and seeing individuals that had the same experience that I had. It felt like a family. I loved to interact with them, even though I was so depressed and very sad. I was like, oh, I had these 3 hours of this day to, oh my gosh, I can use my brain. I had this goal-driven expression to say, oh my gosh, I can do something now. Because at the time between, again, the stroke to this time here, I had no goals because my goals after my stroke were crushed. I have a job now. So it took, I guess, about a year after my stroke. But I am an academic advisor at Texas State University. With Austin Speech Labs, it was such an important time in that year. Because if I didn't have this, I don't know if I would have the job right now, because I needed my brain started again. I need to learn communication again. And also with the family here, they really brought me up. So I'm just so thankful.
Things that keep me up at night is wondering what else can I do other than just intensive speech therapy to get them to talk today, to get them to talk now. What else can we do so that they can get their job back? They can be who they were before, the cheerful person, the loving dad, the hugging mom, you know, just having that family back again. I just cannot imagine not having speech, not having the ability to talk.
What keeps me up at night is just the desire to help more people. And I know that I've been given this great opportunity to provide something that is so important to people. And so just the ability to figure out how can we make their lives better, how can we make their recovery faster, and how can we make their lives meaningful.